My name is Laura R., also known as Belle, or simply Belle. Not long into my foray into the YouTube world, I became a moderator for first Stuff the Alter Nerd, then Popcorn Planet, then Nerd Report. I was in their communities, paid for memberships, for about 4 months, from October 2021 to February of 2022. I worked on Andy Signor's headlines team. I used to defend them online. I know what it's like to be a member of the cult of Popcorn Planet. Since I saw how Andy uses and abuses his community, intellectually, emotionally, monetarily, even sexually for some, then toss them aside like garbage, I couldn't unsee it. If you question anything in that cult, you find yourself bullied and blocked. No dissent is allowed in the ranks. Since leaving, I've done much research on what makes someone like Andy tick. I've explored topics like cults, narcissistic traits and abuse, and sex addiction. I've created blog articles and videos to share them with you, in the hopes that the more you know, the better prepared you'll be. I don't want others to experience what I did, and if they do, to understand what happened. I do this out of concern, not from some weird form of jealousy. I do this for awareness, and I'm doing my best to fulfill that promise, not clicks and clout. I made a promise to myself to do this for the community I left behind. I'm not your typical hater, despite what Andy and company would have you believe. I was not kicked out. I left, along with a few others, in February of 2022. This is a big distinction. I've been speaking out ever since. I dare you to watch my videos, even my earlier cringier ones. I double dog dare you to watch more than 30 seconds, and to try to do so with an open mind. Now, on to the topic at hand. I have a short posted on my YouTube channel that I grabbed from Laura Matthias of Hidden True Crime, where she mentions the pity play, because I found it extremely interesting. She was discussing comments about Jodi Hildebrandt's past courtroom antics, where she indulged in this type of behavior. It really struck a chord with me. I've known a number of people that employ this tactic.
Talking about Jodi now, Jodi Hildebrandt. Jodi Hildebrandt would say, "Oh, I am being stalked. I've been stalked 16 times. Help me. I'm the victim. Which, by the way, this is pity play. We need to talk about pity play. Maybe I'll do another video on it. But Sociopath Next Door, Dr. Martha Stout, who wrote that book, stated people always ask her what the number one thing is if they're looking for a sociopath or a psychopath. And she said, everyone wants me to say some nefarious detail, some wicked thing that you can see if someone's really evil or really not. She said, there's none of that. What it is pity play. If somebody is always the victim, if someone is always trying to reach for your sympathy, if someone is always trying to get your pity, it's likely there's a problem.
Dana Anderson of lovefraud.com instructs visitors on what you need to know about relationships with sociopaths and narcissists. In an article entitled The Pity Play, she explores this quote-unquote tip-off trait of a sociopath. According to Martha Stout, PhD, author of The Sociopath Next Door, the best clue that you are dealing with a sociopath is the pity play. She says, the most reliable sign, the most universal behavior of unscrupulous people is not directed, as one might imagine, at our fearfulness. It is, perversely, an appeal to our sympathy. The combination of consistently bad or inadequate behavior and frequent pity plays, Stout continues, is the closest thing to a warning you'll ever get that you are being manipulated by a sociopath. Dr. Stout outlines the following list describing other tactics that a sociopath might use: charm, risk-taking, and convincing others to do it with them; recognizing a person that is decent and trusting, the perfect target; sexual seduction; crocodile tears, especially when sociopaths are about to be confronted; righteous indignation, plan B when sociopaths are about to be confronted; exploiting social and professional roles; and gaslighting, making victims doubt their own perceptions. A sociopath has no conscience, no emotional attachment to others, and no ability to love. For a sociopath, Stout says, life is reduced to a contest, and other human beings seem to be nothing more than game pieces, to be moved about, used as shields, or ejected. So what does a sociopath want? According to Stout, a sociopath wants only to win. While it seems one cannot be both sociopathic and narcissistic, there is some overlap in behaviors as they are both cluster B personality disorders. The other two disorders in this cluster are borderline and histrionic. There is so much information that I'm having difficulty parsing through it all. Since I'm exploring all of this in my quest to understand and bring awareness to Andy Signor's problematic behavior, I decided to explore his admitted sex addiction and see how it kind of tied into all of this. Curiously, it is generally displayed by those with borderline personality disorder. My research led me to His Seduction, Your Recovery. Now, this lady has some incredible insights and resources. These behaviors seen frequently in the sex addict include impulsive behavior, instability of moods, manipulative behavior, lack of empathy, lack of remorse, guilt, or shame, but may put on a good show of fake emotions, gaslighting, compulsive lying and seeming to actually believe the lies, shifting blame, inability to take responsibility, lack of conscience. As she says, it seems our sexually addicted spouses, because that's what she's exploring, tend to display the attributes of cluster B. This author too read The Sociopath Next Door and has gleaned the following. A person with a conscience, presumably you, is mystified by the behavior of a person without a conscience, presumably the sex addict. A sociopath has no moral code or quote-unquote truth, and it makes dealing with them quite perplexing for those of us who are incapable of unabashed dishonesty. The sociopath, or pathological liar, has an advantage. He has no conscience to make him feel guilty. He will, with great delight, play on your conscience. He will remind you of your moral responsibility, repeat back to you your morals, accuse you of what he is guilty himself of doing, talk at 1,000,000 miles an hour, usually on a different topic, so you can't focus on the issue at hand, present a fake sense of morality, as if he is morally superior to you, act as if things that were said were never said, or things that happened never happened. Circling back to the pity play, it is also a part of the cycle of narcissistic abuse. It's generally used in the quote-unquote re-engagement phase. And in this, the perpetrator seeks to evoke sympathy, compassion, or guilt in the victim by claiming that they also have been victimized and experienced hardships. By soliciting the victim's pity, the perpetrator can draw them into providing emotional support, attention, and other forms of validation, jump-starting the relationship once again. Now, I'm not saying that Andy has any of these personality disorders. I'm certainly not a mental health expert. I explore these topics in an attempt to understand what my friends and I endured during our tenure at Popcorn Planet, and as a resource for those who have or are or will experience the same. Stay tuned for more about the narcissistic abuse cycle, adult grooming, and transactional versus relational interactions, and much more, I'm sure.